So I wrote. I had a desire to write a book a long time ago, and Corey will remember because I wrote, a really badly written book, basically just trying to tell a story, my story or a piece of my story. Um, and I don't know why people write books other than that they're compelled in some way too, and sometimes it's they feel an obligation to their younger self, to take what they wish they had known and say that for some other who might come along. That tends to be how I've framed why I write, why I podcast, why I create. For some people, it's just the feeling like a bucket list item. I have a book in me. And I think that's admirable and worth the exercise because I think humans are creative, and if you have anything that you feel like you want to create, you should try.
Hmm.
And assembling a book is a very big creative endeavor. Just like someone who says, "I'm going to learn to paint and paint something that's good," you're going to paint some things that are bad, and a writer who says, "I'm going to write a book," has to write some stuff that's bad first. Um, and what I did with my first book was I kept having people ask me, "How do you do what you do?" Because I had this kind of interesting entrepreneurial life that felt like I had made millions of dollars, but I hadn't. So I wrote a book about how to do that. And it had some themes that were very much like books that are out there, like 4 Hour Work Week, but essentially a book about the life and business hacks to live the good life, the life you want, a life that has agency. And I called it Opt Out. And that book exercise, taught me how hard it is to write a really good book because, it was I said once it was a B minus, and my best friend told me it was a C plus. So, like it's the exercise of writing a book was just to get something and finish it and then get people to read it and get feedback. Um, and then I had an opportunity where I decided that I was going to write a parable. I had some caffeine in me one day, and I decided I'd write a short parable, and maybe it would be business kind of interwoven into a parable. And I was always a fan of the Richest Man in Babylon, and I thought, well, he told the story of the richest man in Babylon, but how would we find out more about the wisest man in Babylon, and what would his life be like? So I spent a day with my coffee on a rainy day, just writing that story, and creating that story. Um, and around the same time, I had finished a course that was on LinkedIn Learning called Employee to Entrepreneur. And it's this sort of like the unseen journey of an entrepreneur in lessons about entrepreneurship. And over the course of the next year, I had this idea that these two things were the same. The parable was an entrepreneur's journey. The course, Employed Entrepreneur, was an entrepreneur's journey, and they were parallel. But I didn't want to write another C minus or C plus book, depending on how you look at it, or even a B minus book. I wanted to like have a book that I felt like this doesn't matter to me whether I make money on it. It matters to me that it gets in the hands of people, and that people like it, and that people share it, and that it becomes a book where people give it to their high school graduate, and say this short, easy to read book is going to maybe open your mind about business, about entrepreneurship, about the choices you have in life, about what work can mean. Um, and so, my goal was write something to be proud of that exercised my creative side and gave my 19-year-old Dana a story that he could maybe be better than waiting until he's 50 to do what he did. So the the ambition to write a book, no matter what it is, once it's done, you're presented with a dilemma. Um, and that dilemma is, how do you get this book you spent so long crafting and writing, and how do you get it in the hands of people? And what I knew from the first book was you can't just put it on Amazon and hope that people find it. It took years to get to almost 100 reviews on my opt-out book. And once
you had a successful podcast as well, right?
Yeah. And that's in light of
the book.
Yeah. So I guess let me set the stage. So I wrote a book myself. I had a podcast with 500,000 downloads over the course of 2.5 years. My courses on LinkedIn almost add up to 1 million learners. And given all of that, it took years to get a couple thousand of my copies of my book sold and to get 100 stars on, or whatever reviews on Amazon. So the heavy lift to get a book. You can have a platform, you can have followers, you can have learners, you can have people who know you, and you're lucky if you can get Amazon to move a couple thousand units through Kindle and through print on demand, and you never get to know who they are. So the dilemma as an author is that I don't need the $80 a month that Amazon sends me for that book. What I really need is to figure out, how do I connect with the audience that read the book? How do I meet them? How do I get them to come to my podcast? How do I get them on my newsletter? And so, this is a dilemma for any author. I even think even for big name authors, the clearly big name authors have an advantage because the publishers will pay for marketing, and they're going to leverage what you already have to probably sell lots of copies. But for 95% of authors of books, you're never going to make a ton of money on Amazon, but you didn't write the book to make a ton of money on Amazon. You wrote the book to get it into the hearts and minds of your readers. You want to expand the book, and you don't want to spend a bunch of money on Amazon just to send people to get your book on Amazon when you're never going to know who they are. And the economics are probably not quite enough to bring the return you need to spend the money to advertise to get them to buy your book on Amazon. I'd call it the self-published or indie published writer's dilemma. Is it's not about the money. It's about getting the book in the hands of more people. You can't really use Audible and Amazon as a tool to do that. And there aren't really any platforms that make it easy for you to get your book, whether it's ebook or audiobook, into the hands of people and deliver it in a way that that is efficient. So that's the reason why Zoundy makes sense for my book, and that's why Zoundy makes sense for just about everybody's book, is because just about everybody who writes a book wants to get it in the hands of more people and wants to connect with those people, and aren't going to be able to do that on Amazon, and they're not going to really be able to do it on Audible, or even if your audiobook is out there on Spotify. I mean, these are platforms that dribble in pennies and don't connect you to your readers or listeners.
I think that was a great intro. Yeah, I appreciate that, Dana. So you used, tell us a little bit about your book launch plan. What did you do?
Yeah. Okay.
I know you followed a plan, and
okay.
How did Zoundy tie in? But more than that, what did you do?
Yeah. So it turns out that that books take a long time to get into the hands of people unless you create a launch plan. So if you want to accelerate getting to that first 100 reviews on Amazon, for example, you have to do a book marketing launch of some kind. And there are agencies that will help with this. I was fortunate that I had a book coach that sort of had the playbook and gave me the playbook to run. And so I hired a couple of part-time people, and we ran the book launch playbook. But essentially, you need to be able to tell people that they should pre-order your book on typically on Amazon. And that pre-order could be a pre-order for the Kindle digital version, the pre-order for a hardcover, or a pre-order for a paperback, or all of them. So you set up a pre-order campaign, and then you have to start thinking about, well, how do I get people to pre-order this book? Because what you want in a book launch is a lot of buzz all around the same couple of week period. And so what they tell you, all the book marketers, is that you need to find an audience beyond your own and give those people a tool, a freebie, a giveaway, something that will draw them in to pre-order your book. So imagine now you're 3 months out from a book launch, and you want people to start to know that a book is going to be launched. You're going to hit your friends and family up. You're going to, hit your own network. I had 2,000 people on my email list. I'm going to tell people on my podcast, pre-order the book, please. And then what you can do if you send people to a landing page is use a tool like Zoundy to give people the audiobook immediately. Now, why would you do that? Well, they're going to pre-order it. And when they pre-order it, you're going to make a little money, and they're going to have a legitimately purchased book that they can review your book on, but they're going to wait. While they're waiting, why not give them your book? So my launch plan was I only did a launch of the hardcover. I had it printed in really beautiful binding with, gold leaf and a cool cover. The look of the book looks giftable. It looks like something special. It looks precious. And so my pitch was, hey, everybody, if you know me or you've heard about me or you've listened to me or read my other book, get this pre-ordered. And then when you get it, you might think it's really cool. But if you've already listened to my audiobook, because I'm going to give it to you for free, give that away as a gift. And then you'll be able to say to somebody, I listened to this book and I got you a copy as a gift for graduation, for example. So the book launch was sign up for the pre-order and put your $19.99 down, and then Amazon saves those pre-orders until the launch, and then everybody's order goes through at the same time, and immediately you get some immediate gratification because you paid this money. You're going to wait for 6 weeks to get the book, but boom, you're going to get a link to my audiobook on Zoundy, and you get to start listening right now. So it's the ultimate giveaway that actually is a lot of people will say, like, oh, you can get a lead magnet type of a thing. The seven things that you should do to optimize your first startup business. I didn't want to give away a trinket. I wanted to give away the book, because my goal is to get more people listening to it, talking about it. So buy the book and immediately get the audiobook on Zoundy was my launch offer. And because on Zoundy, you have to give us an email address. I get the email addresses of my listeners right away, and I can give them a thank you email and connect with them and remind them to review my book when it comes out. Let them know that they're welcome to tell other people to come to the same link to get the pre-order. So just a really elegant tool for preparing for a book launch, up to the point where then you want to get as many people listening. I'd give the book away for free, but you also want people that are using Audible credits and reviewing the book. You want people that buy the Kindle version and review the book on Amazon. And certainly people can review the book on Amazon if they're not registered as having bought the book, but the reviews are stronger when they're from someone that Amazon knows bought the book from Amazon.
Talk about the avatar. Talk about the person you were targeting. Who's your targeted demographic for the book? Do you have one?
My target for the demographic, my target for the book is somebody who wants to be in business, thinks they want to be in business. And in particular, I think it's probably a person who has misperceptions about what it means to start a business or be an entrepreneur. Most of the people that I've talked to that are, under 40 that want to be in business think that Shark Tank is real. So, the idea that all you need is a big idea and that you can go pitch it to rich people and they'll give you the money and that somehow that's business success is such a modern myth that the book is not a direct attack on it, but trying to counterpoint with what I know and all of my colleagues that are entrepreneurs know is true, which is that you don't make success by having a big idea. You don't have success by getting venture capital. Those can be tools for entrepreneurial success, but your success is your ability to succeed as an entrepreneur is right there under your nose. That's so the avatar is and this could be any age, because I think people who want a career pivot in their 50s have a job and they just can't quite see, what am I going to do as a business owner? When they read the book, I hope they realize that what they could do as a business owner is what they've already done as an employee, because that skill, that aptitude is right there under their nose. So it's the big missing aha for a lot of people is to realize that what you've learned from being at jobs becomes very easily the thing that you can leverage to become a successful entrepreneur. But yet, young and old, it's somebody who wants to be in business and probably hasn't, or has maybe got a side gig and is trying to figure out, how do I become an entrepreneur?
Yeah, one of the beliefs we have here at Zoundy, and it comes from data that we're seeing, is that people are much more apt to finish an audiobook, and that audiobook listening skews younger. So like under 40, they're listening at much higher levels. So everybody's listening to audiobooks, but the under 40 crowd is listening to multiple books a month, a high percentage of people. So, and that's just because there's just not enough time to read for most people. There's not enough time in the day for most people to read, and too many other competing, distracting activities that are available. So, did you think about that, using audio as kind of your flagship giveaway or your key promotional items?
Yeah, absolutely. And I invested in audio more than many authors do. I did read the portions that are my voice, but hired a studio and a voice actor professional who voice acts. That's more expensive than me reading it myself, but also the product then is something that I could be proud of, and that I think young listeners who are, they're keen to junk, right? A young listener who listens to a lot of audiobooks isn't, going to necessarily get that excited about something that's done poorly, kind of YouTube-ish, so having a high quality audiobook and focusing on audio is definitely a key part of me trying to figure out, how do I get my message out there? And in fact, just the fact that the only other book, I mean, you could get the Kindle, but I'm not selling paperback because I want people to think of the book as a gift. I want it to look like and feel like something that if you got it, you'd keep it on your bookshelf. You could get it for your grandchild, your nephew, your niece, to give them something that feels like a gift, and really lean into the audio as this is I will give away the audio. I'm not here to make money on the audio. I want the message to get out and to change people's lives with this content. And if you embrace that, then buy it as a gift for somebody. But in terms of getting it out there, it's free on Zoundy. I want it to be free on Zoundy, and I think that's going to resonate with the avatar that I have.
Yeah, that's great. And I'll just put a plug in for the book. I listened to it. I haven't read it. I had time to listen to it. It's a phenomenal book. It really is. It's not a book that, usually you get that quality from a self-published author. And the narrator is stellar. He's like a top narrator, right? I
Yeah.
guess. And so it's the quality of the writing, the quality of the production is all there, and you put a lot into this and you spend a lot of money, but you're not worried about sales being cannibalized on Zoundy. You're giving the audio away. How do you feel about that?
I think like I'll give you an example of I can give away. I put the QR code for the free Zoundy offer on a business card so that I could just give it to
Mm.
people and say, here's my book for free on Zoundy. And if that person, and I have had some people say, is it on the other platforms? And I say, yeah. They go, well, I have credits. I'll just get it on the platform that I'm used to. So my one of my nephews listened to it on the way to go camping because he had it on uh, Spotify, right? Uh, Another family member who could get it for free went ahead and used some credits and got it on Audible. So I think if people want to get it in a native environment that they have credits for and are used to, they're still gonna. And I think for anybody who gets excited about the content that you gave the book away to, just tells one or two other people, they're probably more likely to just go put it in their cart. So I think sales, I don't think it'll cannibalize sales. Um, and if somebody is a Kindle reader, for example, and they have the free audiobook, they're likely to still buy it on Kindle because they're a visual reader and they're just going to put it on and read it in their bed at night versus putting the headset on and listening to it. That enough about not cannibalizing the
Yeah, no, I think that's great. And um, I think another belief we have here at Zoundy is that when something is finished, that people are more apt to talk about it, more apt to review it.
right.
There's a higher chance that you'll get someone to read it. I mean, I'm reading a lot of books as I'm listening, so I'm actually reading. I'm getting the audio and then I'm grabbing the book on Amazon so that I can do both at the same time to increase my retention and comprehension and just the ability to live out the book I'm reading or
Yeah.
enjoy it more.
Yeah, 100%. And I think again, you're trying to give it to someone that sets the hook and they get excited about it. They're I think likely to buy it, to have it within their own library and another ecosystem or in print. And again, like people buy books, the printed books, as a gift. I
Yep.
mean, whether it's family member, so you listen to the book you got on Zoundy for free, you like it, you're certainly free to tell someone else that they can get it for free as well. But a more generous thing, and what a lot of people do, is buy the book as a gift for someone else. So
Mhm.
it does drive sales. And then the way Zoundy works, if there's a point at which I feel like I have tipped and I can sell the book, I can sell the book on Zoundy for half of what the audiobook would be for giving up credits on Audible and make more money on it and be giving my listeners a deal by giving them a better price. And then again, they just have a choice. If you want to burn your credits, great. If you would like to pay, you know, $7.99 and get a book that would cost you $19.99 in credits, then I can sell you that book. And because the Zoundy economic model is pro author,
Mhm.
I can still make a sale if sales become important to me. But again, I think the most of us that write a book would much rather know that we're getting the word out and having an opportunity for that book to spread. Really, the way I had book coaching from a popular book, a ghostwriter and pretty well-known author, Jeff Goings. He said you really, like, you owe it to yourself as an author and you owe it to your book to try and give the book a life of its own. You need that book at some point to pass some number, and there is some argument in the publishing community about how many that is, but it's some few thousands of copies before the book can have a life of its own. And that includes some practical things, like you need enough reviews on Amazon so that people realize other people have read and like the book, right? That helps this flywheel spin itself. But, if you want the book to have a life of its own, you really have to start by embracing the idea that if you're out there podcast, you're on 25, 30, 50 podcasts to promote your book, and you're getting people from every one of those podcasts to come to Zoundy and put in an email address, you have a lot more chance than to take all of that, all those people, and rally them around your book and get them spreading the word about your book and get that book to tip and have a life of its own than if you just let it languish like I did with the opt-out book sitting on Amazon, hoping that enough people buy it so that eventually it,
Mm-hmm.
it has a life of its own.
One of the strategies that we've encouraged authors to do at Zoundy is to, when you have your launch team, those folks who are closest to you, they're most enthusiastic about you and your content, is to get them the book first before anyone else. Did you employ a strategy like that using Zoundy?
Not the no, I didn't. I like the idea that you can get the audio up and kind of like use it as a pre-launch. For example, I didn't do as many podcast guestings as most people recommend. So I'll just say for those that want to know, that whether you book them or not, they say that you should do 25 to 50 podcast guests in relevant podcasts. And what you could do if you're scheduling those is actually send the audio link, the link to get to your Zoundy book, to the people who you'd like to be on their show. So then you could actually use it as an advance copy or review copy, the way a lot of publishers do when they're kind of circling around the press trying to get PR, because today podcasting is a substitute for traditional PR. In the old days, a publisher would circulate advance copies, do not sell was stamped on it. And they would send this in the mail to all the press and just say, check this out, hoping that somebody bites and reads it and says, wow, that's good, I'm going to write a review about it. So the advance copy method in Zoundy I knew was there, but I wasn't doing as big of a road show. But it's a great tool for a road show to be able to say, here's an advance copy. Book's not out yet. I'm getting ready to promote it. I'd love to get on your calendar as a guest for your podcast. And then they get access to the audiobook on Zoundy and they can listen to it at their leisure.
I love it. They say that your book is a business card. You've heard that saying, right? You even said that. I love that you have a business card with your book on it.
Yeah.
That's a great strategy, right? I haven't heard that before.
Yeah. I mean, for so many, I don't have a business around my book, but most people who've written a book, their message in that book is also the thing that they consult or coach or speak about. So for 90% of the people that are indie and self-published in nonfiction, they have a business around the things that they talk about in their book. And they don't make lots of money on the books, even if they've got the book at the back counter of their speaking event. They're making their money at the speaking event, right? So they make $10,000 to speak. They get a consulting fee to go talk. The free audiobook is a calling card to be able to say, hey, everybody who's here, here's the QR code on the screen to get to my free book on Zoundy. Why would you do that? You could make a couple dollars, but you're much wiser to just harvest all of those emails, to have everyone who grabs that audiobook now from that event register as one of your readers, your listeners, and now you have the audience's contact information, and you get to reach out to them, say, thank you for coming to my talk. I hope you enjoy the book. Get on my formal email list and make them part of the means, the top of funnel that you need for driving, consulting, coaching, and speaking around your expertise.
I've seen a new trend with children's books of including the audio, just a QR code on the back of the book with the book, because they know that it's a lot of friction in going to Audible to get it, or as you said, Spotify is only if you own the family plan. If you're the person purchasing the family plan, can you listen there? So it's not that easy to just have your kids go take a book and read it. So they just put a QR code and leave the audiobook open out on the web to be
Yep.
listened to. Have you thought about that for King's Fly Swatter as a possibility for your second printing?
Yes, absolutely. We entertained it for a minute, and we didn't quite have the time to to make that decision because the timing was a crunch based on the we printed over the holidays 6 months ago. But yes, I absolutely believe that the having it on the title page or on the about page on the back of the paperback, wherever it is, I would think, why wouldn't you want anyone and everyone everywhere that sees the book in a store buy the book and also get the audiobook for free? I think it's a fantastic way to, again, spread the wings that you have with the resources that you have as an author.
So Dana, full transparency here for the crowd. Now, for people who have listened this far along, you're one of the main investors in Zoundy.
Yeah. Well, look,
You believe in the product a little bit, I guess. I
I
suppose.
do. So, you and I have been partners in an audiobook business, and we knew the space. I'm a really second time around author that needed this tool a long time ago. So when we started collaborating on the possibilities of what this would be like, because you had started to incubate this business within your publishing company, I was and am enthusiastic as an investor because there's nothing else like this. And it's elegant. It's an easy answer to a lot of problems. There are million books a year that come out with hundreds of thousands of those on audio. And every one of those authors is entitled to find a way to directly connect with their audience, and they need a tool to do that. And so it's not just that it's a cool business, and as a business we get the benefit of growing a cool business. I think the mission of authors is supported by our mission as a company, which is to give you a tool to directly interact with, engage with, and expand your audience.
Absolutely. Well, this is great. I think this will be really helpful for folks to listen back to or read the transcript from this. And so we appreciate you sharing your thoughts about your book launch and using Zoundy, Dana.
Yeah, no, I love it. Glad to support it. I now want to write another book so that I can put another book up on Zoundy.